Pacific Northwest of the continental United States offers some of the most spectacular vistas and thrilling motorcycle roads found anywhere. Our friend Steve and my father-in-law Mark conceived of this epic route to cross the state of Washington in 6 days. And from the looks of it, this is going to be a phenomenal ride full of tall tales around a campfire each evening. We'll depart the stunning 5-star resort town of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, to the north with all 8 riders and our gracious sag wagon driver converging somewhere near Rathdrum, Idaho on Highway 41. As we pass Twin Lakes and the town of Spirit Lake, heading north, we settle into the saddle for day 1 clocked at 270 miles. We'll exit Highway 41 in the town of Blanchard, taking Blanchard Elk Road. Crossing the Washington state line, it begins to set in. This is living at its finest. But caution is warranted during this section of rough road. A glance to the south reveals the looming Mount Spokane State Park. Entering the small hamlet of Elk, Washington, we'll take a right on North Elk Camden Road. Through Camden for a short westerly stint on Highway 2 and then another right turn to the north on Route 211. Advancing through Deer Valley will nearly connect with the Pend Oreille River at the town of Usk, where a left turn on Mackenzie Road quickly reveals the twisties of the Colville National Forest, west toward Chewelah, beneath the 49° North Mountain Resort. A right on 395 at Chewelah passes through the towns of Blue Creek, Addy, Arden, and Orrin on the way to Colville, joining Highway 20 and onto Kettle Falls on the mighty Columbia River. Crossing the Columbia returns to the hills and twisties of the Colville National Forest, climbing Sherman Pass before dropping down into the town of Republic and the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest. The westerly route continues on to the more arid town of Tonasket before turning back south for a few more leisurely miles. At Okanagan, we'll make a westerly departure from Google's allowed route to remain on Highway 20. There's been construction on this leg, but Mike's trip through there last week confirmed it to be open. The summit reveals the Loop Loop ski bowl before descending down into the town of Twisp and on to our day 1 destination, where we'll step back in time at the restored old western town of Winthrop, Washington. The KOA will be a welcome respite after 6 hours in the saddle. On paper, day 2 looks to be one of the most scenic as we climb over the Cascade Mountain Range toward the Pacific. At 154 miles, it should be short on distance but long on vistas and memories. Heading west out of Winthrop on 20, the towering peaks of the Lake Chelan and Ross National Recreation areas loom before approaching the North Cascades National Park. Lean angle and photo ops should entertain through the section near Diablo and Ross Lakes. Crossing the divide, we may catch glimpses of the colossal Mount Baker to the north between the more nearer peaks as we descend through the valley towns of Marble Mount, Corkindale, Rockport, and Concrete along the Skagit River. The pace will become straighter and more leisurely as we advance through the more populated portions of the northern Greater Seattle areas of Sedro-Woolley and Burlington, crossing under Interstate 5. Populace continues only briefly as we approach the majestic Fidalgo and Whidbey Islands. But keep your eyes and action cameras at the ready because there are some tantalizing visual surprises around the corner that are sure to end up framed on your living room wall. They call this Deception Pass State Park and our conclusion of day 2 at the densely wooded Cranberry Lake Campground. At 3 hours riding time from Winthrop, although welcome, the rest won't be immediately imperative. At 66 miles and 1.5 hours, day 3 will be our shortest. But it'll need to be because day 4, although possibly the most scenic, will optionally require the most endurance. From Deception Pass State Park, we'll traverse south past the Whidbey Island Naval Air Station through Oak Harbor on our way to the ferry at Fort Casey. The short wait for the ferry hop over to Port Townsend may allow for a cigar, worst case, or directly on the boat, best case. then hugging the coast of Discovery and Seguin Bays over to our destination for nights 3 and 4 at the Port Angeles KOA, all with the Olympic mountain range as a backdrop. Day 4 is full of options and all about the Olympic National Park. Personally, I plan to endure the full 8 hours because I'll not rest without the chance to experience Hurricane Ridge, Hoh Rainforest, and Cape Flattery. The good news is that one can decide to do 1, 2, or all 3 before returning to Port Angeles for a second night in a camp already set up. First stop is serpentine climb up to Hurricane Ridge Visitor Center overlooking a majestic valley across to Mount Olympus. If in the morning, this promises to provide stunning photo ops. Then reverse back down Hurricane Ridge Road to Port Angeles, and the 101 past Lake Sutherland and Lake Crescent are sure to look pristine with the high morning sun. Rounding the corner south on the 101, we'll need to be watchful for the left turn onto Upper Hoh Road, leading up the valley along the meandering Hoh River to, you guessed it, the Hoh Rainforest Visitor Center. We may not want to return to our bikes, nor civilization at this point. But stomachs, mattresses, and wives call. So reversing course again back to the 101, we'll angle left on 113 at Sapo, then joining 112 in the Strait of Juan de Fuca Highway over to Nia Bay via Clallam Bay and Seco. Hugging the snaky coastline of the Strait of Juan de Fuca guarantees to satisfy. Continuing through Nia Bay, we'll traverse the final few miles of the northwesternmost corner of the continental U.S. at Cape Flattery. Too bad we can't see the lighthouse at dawn, but perhaps others want to take this leg first instead of last. Reversing course one last time for the coastline return to Port Angeles KOA concludes our most ambitious day of the trip. Whew. I'm going to sleep well on night 4 for sure. The shorter day 5 will be welcomed at a little over 4 hours riding time, 2 ferry rides, and 180 miles. The first of our 2-day return home will backtrack over to Port Townsend Fort Casey Ferry, venturing down Whidbey Island on 525 for the Clinton Mukilteo Ferry. We'll pass just to the north of Boeing's Payne Field for anyone wanting to stop and take the awe-inspiring Future of Flight tour of Boeing's Everett Jumbo Jet Assembly Plant and the largest building in the world. After a brief stint on Interstate 5 up to Highway 2, we turn right for the return hop over the Cascades. As we leave the sprawling metropolis behind, there will be some weekend traffic to deal with as we advance on the two-lane Highway 2 through the valley towns of Sultan, Startup, Gold Bar, and Skykomish. The curvaceous climb begins in earnest at Scenic and Wellington, peaking out at the Stevens Pass Mountain Resort ski area. After a long, gradual descent, Highway 2 intersects and follows the beautiful Wenatchee River before rounding the left bend into the Bavarian-inspired town of Leavenworth. The night on the town is sure to entertain here after settling in the KOA for night 5. Day 6, much like Day 4, is long, but with options and offshoots away from and back to Highway 2 while returning to the Spokane area. Taken directly, for someone in a hurry to get home, is booked at 4 hours and 211 miles along Highway 2 and I-90. But we don't roll direct, and the more adventurous passage adds another 2 hours to that, with detours up to Cooley Dam and along the Columbia River for a northerly route around Mount Spokane to avoid I-90 traffic through Spokane. East out of Leavenworth on Highway 2 sends us past the outskirts of Wenatchee, making the first of several more encounters with the Columbia River. Paralleling the Columbia briefly before making a right turn for an impressive easterly climb out of the arid valley. Then it's cruise control through the straight wheat and barley fields of Center State before reaching Banks Lake at Coulee City. But have your GoPro ready for the 155 turn to the north and the sheer cliffs of Steamboat Rock State Park to the right with the lake on the left. By 3 p.m. this promises spectacular footage. Sights abound as we throttle through the adjacent towns of Electric City, Grand Coulee, and Coulee Dam with the hydroelectric monstrosity on display. The southeasterly climb back to Highway 2 along 174 offers a few turns before becoming flat, straight farm country again for a few miles. Just east of Creston, we'll keep our eyes peeled for the left turn onto Miles Creston Road North, which angles back toward the Columbia River, passing through Seven Bays, Deer Meadows, and switching to Highway 25 at Fort Spokane for the continued northern push to Hunters. Heading east out of Hunters on Springdale Hunters Road, we say farewell to the Columbia for the final leg home. This leg over to Springdale offers a splendid series of one turn after another, but watch out for locals because they can drive a dually pickup faster than we can ride. Springdale, then Loon Lake, crossing Highway 2 back into Elk with another caution for rough road conditions. Then over to Blanchard and a right on Highway 41 for Spirit Lake, Rathdrum, and finally home. That, boys, makes for an unforgettable experience. Let's do it again next month.